it's coming from the same things. Genetic testing, they just started looking at some of this genetic testing as far as building antibodies to your own self, and how the body's been able to detoxify. And the big one is, they're called ApoE 1, 2, 3, and 4. And basically what this is, these cells are designed to pull toxins out of the body. And so it's kind of like a person with two arms. These ApoE molecules should have two hands. This would be like an ApoE2 molecule. You have two arms for attaching toxins. So you take in some mercury or eat some fish that you shouldn't eat, this ApoE molecule grabs onto that one molecule with each hand and pulls it out of the body. Now genetically you may have a different type of a molecule. So you may only have, so here's what we got. People who have 2 copies of ApoE4 had 6 times the normal risk of developing Alzheimer's or accumulating toxins in your body. So that would mean that you have, the molecule doesn't have any arms to grab onto toxins and eliminate them from the body. The E3 gene has 1 arm for attaching chemicals and removing them from the body, toxins, and then the E2 has two arms. So they say people who have 2 copies of the E2 gene are really good at eliminating toxins from the body. People who have the E4 gene have almost no ability to eliminate toxins from the body. So if you weren't exposed to any toxins, it wouldn't matter. But when we live in our society today where there's more toxins, this does matter. So kind of the question is, do we really want to know if we're going to be accumulating these toxins or not? The only way that we can prevent that is to reduce the amount of toxins that we're being exposed to. And then the last thing we want to talk about is nerve system malfunction. The nerves are designed to tell the muscles and the organs how to work. So you got the brain at the top sending the signal down the nerves out to the organs. And what we see is if the nervous system isn't working properly, you're going to have more pain. There's a couple specific parts of the body that create more issues with people with fibromyalgia. The biggest one is going to be the neck. So what should happen is we should have a curve in the neck that takes the pressure off the spinal cord. It should look like a banana. This is kind of the example that I use. If we bend the banana the opposite direction, puts pressure on, smushes the inside of the banana, kind of gets smashed. Same thing happens with their neck. If their neck starts to go straight from an injury, then we're stretching out the spinal cord, and the spinal cord is going to feel pain easier. It's like hypersensitivity. You can actually measure that. There's tests out there to measure the increased sensitivity of the nerves. If we bring this curve back, we can actually see that that's going to change. So forward head posture. This was studied at Rochester Mayo. There's a pamphlet from them. One of the things that they say when your head is out in front, you can see right here, TMJ problems and fibromyalgia. Those are 2 common side effects of having this forward head posture because it's stretching out the spinal cord, it's making the nerves hypersensitive to pain. So an easy way to look at this is if you have someone look at you from the side view, your ear should be right over your shoulder. If your head is going out in front, then we're stretching out that spinal cord. We can see this on x-rays a lot of times, but it's again that same posture that we already talked about. Like this, head forward, arms rolled forward. We're not getting oxygen into the body the same way. We're stretching out the spinal cord and making it hypersensitive to nerve pain. So when the spine's out of alignment, it's called subluxation, where it's affecting the nerves, and then that's going to potentially lead to joint pain, muscle pain, nerve and organ dysfunction. This one was an interesting study too. They looked at animals, specifically a dog, and how much energy it takes for the dog to move its leg. They were looking at this under functional MRI, and then they created an artificial shift in the dog's spine, putting pressure on the nerve, and had the dog move its leg. It took 17 times more energy for the dog just to move, to do the same mechanism with that shift in the spine. So the way that we can tell how the nerves are working, there's a test called an EMG test that measures how the nerves going on through the muscles are working. And so if there's a problem, then we can see that on the test. So on your handouts, I listed some of the things that the common causes of inflammation that we talked about. I listed some of the common toxins, some of the things with oxygen and affirmations and water and nutrition, the nerve supply, and then this page right here is a list of some of the common supplements that people will use for fibromyalgia and what each one of those does. So I'll just try to run through those real quickly with you. The B complex vitamins, B complex is really important for your adrenal glands. So if we have low adrenal function, that's where we're going to have B vitamins that will give us energy and to rebuild the adrenal glands. Does everybody have this page? Omega-3, that's anti-inflammatory fat, so that's fish oil. Brought each one of these things, so if you want an example of what to look for, you have at least you can look at the bottle and see. This would be like what omega-3 looks like. That's a decent product. So it's anti-inflammatory, helps the brain and nerves work well. Calcium and magnesium, that one is going to, this is the B vitamins, it's glycogenics. Calcium and magnesium, that is going to offset the pH, so if our pH levels are off, calcium and magnesium helps to balance out those pH levels, helps the muscles to contract and relax. Vitamin D, that comes from the sunshine. If we lived in a climate where we could be exposed to the sun more often, otherwise this is an example of what it's like a liquid that you can take. Vitamin D helps to improve brain function, helps to reduce depression, and basically helps to improve overall health. Every cell in our body has a vitamin D receptor. There's only two chemicals in our body that every cell has a receptor to. It's vitamin D and the thyroid hormone. So if we're low on thyroid, it affects everything. If we're low on vitamin D, it's going to affect everything. Enzymes, we talked about that. Those are going to break down, help us digest food, helps us break down toxins. Probiotics, it's going to help our digestive system work better. Detox, I showed you that one already. The detox helps to eliminate toxins from the body. There's different tests that we can do to find out if a toxin. And then the dynamic greens, that looks like this. It's just a drink that helps to balance out pH levels. So it's just a bunch of nutrients and vitamins and minerals that are in there to balance out the green leaf vegetables that are going to help balance out the pH levels in the body. Common tests that will help us to find out which one of these things are going to be the most off, that will help us the most. The EMG test is one example. That's the nerve scan that I showed you. A spine test, like an X-ray, will show us if your spine is off, if it's putting pressure on the nerves. The adrenal test, that Reglan's test that I told you about, is a test that we can measure if our adrenal glands are off. Or if we did like an adrenal questionnaire, we can find out if the adrenal glands are off. Vitamin D blood test is a common one. Test for thyroid function. We didn't talk about that much because most doctors will do this test pretty quickly if we're having, if we're not feeling well. Low thyroid is going to be low energy and pain. pH test. So we can measure the pH with the pH strips. Remember, if we're too acidic, it's going to create more pain. And then the elimination diet is an easy test to, maybe not an easy test, but it's an accurate test to find out, do we have one of these food allergies that's causing our body problems. Gluten is the one that is the most common or most likely source of a food allergen for people with fibromyalgia. And then heavy metal toxicity test, that would be like a urine test, a hair test, or a blood test or a stool sample. So those are the different tests that we have available. And that would be what I would start working your way down the list. Now, we went through a lot of different information. Almost impossible to do all these things in one shot. So I would say start simple, work on one thing, get good at the one thing, and then move to the next level and start adding to the next thing. The first thing that if I had to add just one thing in, I would check my vitamin D level and omega-3 level. That would be the first thing that I would start adding in. And as you start to reduce inflammation in your body and adding vitamin D, then we can start to hopefully do some exercise and start to accumulate and increase some of those positive thoughts and help the body start to work better. So if